With StarFox for the Super Nintendo being such a big hit, selling over 4 million copies and becoming the 8th best-selling game for the system, you would think a sequel would be in order, right? Well, you're right.
Alright!
And wrong.
No!
StarFox 2 was in development for the Super Nintendo and was so close to being fully developed that over a decade later a near-completed version of it would be leaked onto the internet, but they dropped the project for one reason: to make one for this! Yes, Star Fox 2 was cancelled because it would have been so close to the launch of the Nintendo 64 that Miyamoto wanted to create a new Star Fox game for the more powerful upcoming system. And with that in mind, one of the greatest Nintendo games ever comes into existence: Star Fox 64. Or if that's not familiar to you, Lylat Wars. Copyright laws suck. I had first heard about it, or rather seen it, by watching about 5 seconds of advertisement from the Nintendo 64 promo tape, and I was looking forward to it. Then a friend in junior high school showed me the overly corny yet equally awesome Star Fox 64 promo tape. I got so excited that the last 3 days before it came out, I couldn't wait any longer and tried to sleep through them. That plan didn't even last 3 hours. On a positive note, my brother kept calling every major retailer at that time, and believe it or not, Toys R Us actually got it in a day earlier than they said they would. Okay, I know it's been almost 2 minutes and I haven't even touched the game yet, but I just wanted to talk about it because it means so much to me. Star Fox 64 is generally classified as a reboot of Star Fox from the Super Nintendo. The gameplay itself is virtually the same as you fly through a level, complete the objective, and move on, but now you can change your route if you perform certain actions or want to go the easier route. New to the series is an area called All Range Mode where you can fly around in a true 3D environment. I say new to this series because I already experienced something similar to this in Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Also for the Nintendo 64, which was a launch title. As well as a 4-player battle mode with 3 different modes. But my brothers and I usually just play the point match mode. This time the story explains more about Andross and Fox's father James McCloud's past and has a narrator to tell it. This became the first Nintendo franchise to have voice acting for the entire game, minus the training mode. And just to repeat myself from the Star Fox review, if a game had voice acting back in those days, it was considered advanced. So this seemed like one of the highest quality games out there, and I still haven't even talked about what it did for the gaming industry. But that's for later. Back to the story. It's the same as the first Star Fox game, with all the original characters returning along with some new faces, as well as an exposition about Lylat's history. And if for some reason you still haven't experienced this masterpiece of the 64-bit system, the story in a nutshell is the evil scientist Andross wants to rule the Lylat system, and your group of gunners for hire are on their way to put that flea bag down. Jeez, how long is this hallway? Even if you take the Super Smash Bros. Version of it, it still can't possibly be that long. Then again, we're talking about video games, where coins can give you health and air, so question withdrawn. Okay, story time is over, let's get to some action. As stated earlier, the gameplay is virtually the same as the Super Nintendo predecessor, with some major improvements. New to your arsenal of moves are the somersault and U-turn. The somersault lets you do a loop in the air to let you get the drop on the enemies that try to sneak up behind you, or just to collect everything. The U-turn can only be used in all range mode and does what its name implies, and is forced if you go too far off the map. The boost and brake are now sensitive to how long you push the button, unlike the Super Nintendo where if you push it once, it uses up the whole bar. You now have the aiming reticule with you at all times unless you want to get rid of it, instead of just when you're in the cockpit of your R-Wing. Speaking of which, you can now go into the pilot seat of the R-Wing at any time, unless you're in all range mode. Firing is about the same as the first one, except when you hold it down, you charge up a shot that can lock onto an enemy, and if there's any other minor enemies around it, they go BOOM! Twin laser power-ups appear far more often this time, and like the first game, getting 2 of them increases your firepower to its maximum. Rings still replenish your shields, and collecting 3 gold rings increases your energy, and collecting 3 more after your health has already gone up will get you an extra life. You can now hold up to 9 bombs instead of 5, and they show you the range of their explosions. But the best improvement was the barrel roll. In the first game, the barrel roll would seem unreliable at times no matter how much you push the L or R button. In this one, the barrel roll works like a charm, and never gives me a problem. So if Peppy ever said, "Do a barrel roll!" I was happy to do a barrel roll! Woo! Speaking of improvements, your teammates, or as I like to call them decoys, now perform a function with 1 additional ally. Peppy, as many people know him for, "Do a barrel roll!" Woo! Is Fox's mentor who gives advice to Fox in certain areas and boss battles. Falco is... What the heck does he do? The manual says with Falco you're more likely to travel through routes with a higher difficulty level. Well, it means that in certain areas, if you keep Falco alive and follow him, he can lead you to the harder courses in the game. Then there's Slippy. You know, I've always been sort of an oddball. Navi never really got on my nerves. Underwater swimming mechanics don't bug me. I can't get the hang of most fighting games. and I find Slippy as the most useful member of the team. Yeah, he sucks as a pilot, but it's not like the other members are that competent, now are they? Besides, Slippy's a mechanic, not a fighter. He's responsible for giving you the info on a boss's energy shields, so unlike Peppy and Falco, whose advice and help are pointless after beating the game, Slippy's intel is always welcomed, as I like to know if I can make that last-second shot. You know what I mean, don't you? Plus, he's the one taking care of the R-Wings while making the two new vehicles, the Landmaster tank that hovers, and the Blue Marine submarine that has infinite torpedoes. And both of them somehow have the maneuverability to
Do a barrel roll!
Woo! I'm not exactly a fan of Slippy, but I'll defend him against the injustice that's been done to him.
You'll be sorry, Punk!
Rock on, Slippy!
Slippy's not such a screw-up after all.
The new StarFox team member is Rob64, who operates from the Great Fox, your team's main headquarters/transport, and will send helpful items to you, help out, or be there for you in spirit.
Good luck, Pop.
If any of your allies besides Rob get shot down, they won't be able to perform their task. They'll recover one level later, but if any of your teammates go down, you won't be able to get a medal. In StarFox for the Super Nintendo, you would get a continue if you shot down enough ships. If you blasted enough ships in this game, you'll earn an extra life for every total of 100 bogeys you shot down, recover some shields for your teammates, and a medal if you reach the invisible required score while keeping your wingmates in action. If you get all the medals, you'll unlock Expert Mode where there's more enemies than before, you'll take almost double the damage, Fox wears sunglasses, artwork for the hard and easy endings, and one crash gives you wing damage. You'll also unlock Expert Sound where you can listen to the music in the game. And if you collect all the medals in Expert Mode, you'll unlock a new title screen. Also, if you get a medal for Venom, you'll unlock the Landmaster tank for Versus Mode, and if you earn it on Expert Mode, you can have the character on foot. Even if they just made all the improvements, it would still be a great game, but Nintendo went a little further to make it the best in the series. Well, in my opinion, and in many others as well. It's still little things like going through the warp zones, hearing what my teammates have to say besides help me, meeting with other pilots who have a background story with the other characters, such as Cat, who has a very close relationship to Falco, Star Wolf, who are the main rivals of Star Fox off your head and can give you intense dogfight battles, or one of Fox's old friends, Bill, and you meet him on the planet that's infamous for its Independence Day reference. And speaking of references, there's a couple of them in this game. Area 6, also known as the greatest level in Star Fox history, has you taking down cruisers that look like Star Destroyers. Speaking of which, this part always reminded me of The Empire Strikes Back. One major thing that must be noted about the game are the levels. If it was just flying around, it would get repetitive real fast. Thankfully, just about every level has its own mission and can either be completed or accomplished. Most of the levels are extremely well thought out and diverse. Sector Z has you taking out scattered enemies and blowing up missiles headed straight for the Great Fox. Solar has you constantly losing health, but recovering is easy. Boise, and I probably said that wrong, has you on a rotating enemy base where you just try to keep up with the environment. Zonus has you taking out searchlights, and of course, there's the 2 Landmaster levels and the 1 Blue Marine level. While the levels are either on rails or all range mode or sometimes both, they never quite feel like another level, whether it's because of the missions or the excellent level design. That, along with the easy to pick up and play controls, have helped make this a game that gamers keep coming back to for years. And there's still so much more I love about this game, such as hidden enemies on Corneria. Shooting a charged shot into the holes of these craters in the asteroid field somehow earns me a hit +1 when there are no enemies there at all. Flying in formation with your teammates in this part of Sector Y earns you an extra life. Flying through these structures on Zonus gives you an extra item. Or, how if you don't finish off this boss fast enough, you'll have to go out of your way to rescue Slippy. Most players, if not all of them, absolutely hated this, but I liked it for 2 reasons. Fox went out of his way to rescue his teammate. He's always been a great pilot, but this just shows that he's a great leader and friend.
I can't leave Slippy hanging.
It also felt like a little side story of the main plot, and something you wouldn't expect if it's your first time playing. The last and possibly most important element is what this game did for the gaming industry. Star Fox for the Super Nintendo was revolutionary for its look, and Star Fox 64 kept the Revolution tradition alive by introducing a peripheral that would change gaming forever. Bundled with every Star Fox 64 game was a Rumble Pack. Whenever you got hit, the Rumble Pack vibrated, allowing you to feel a little closer to the game, as if you were actually there. Well, not quite, but it still felt like nothing else before. Even better is when large explosions were going off like this one, and it felt like the Rumble Pack became possessed. Ocarina of Time revolutionized an entire gaming genre, but this changed gaming as a whole, which is one of the many reasons why I had this as my favorite N64 game instead of Ocarina of Time. Ah, crap. I forgot to put the flame shields up.
It's too hot! I can't take it anymore!
I've played this game for years, over and over and over and over again, and the only thing I can find wrong with this game?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong.
Even if I nitpick this game for any little reason, there's always a way around it. I don't like flying in the cockpit view as you see the world roll around when you
Do a barrel roll!
Woo! But even so, it's not like I'm forced to play in the pilot seat, so problem negated. Playing on foot in the multiplayer mode sucks because there are some power-ups that are out of reach, they're slower than the R-Wing much like the Landmaster, their cannon power is weak, and a bomb blast takes away all of their health. Once again, it's your choice if you want to play as him, so no worries there. Your teammates are nowhere near as good as you, but as mentioned earlier, I use them as decoys to draw the fire away from me, especially against Star Wolf. Say for example, if Peppy's not there, then I'll have Wolf and Pigma after me instead of just Wolf. Speaking of which, if you help them out, they'll actually take the fight into their own hands, but if they shoot them down, you don't get the points. If you're in all range mode and shoot a lock-on charge shot and it leaves the screen, it will lose the target. Just something to keep in mind. Wing damage sucks as it always drags you down and makes you lose all your laser power-ups, but you should be punished for being a lousy pilot. The only two things I can even think of that come close to being a problem are the way your teammates get in the way and the frame rate. I'll explain the latter first. I said in other videos that the frame rate was perfect, but that was a mistake on my part. Allow me to explain. When StarFox 64 came out on the Virtual Console, I had to download it. My N64 copy still worked perfectly, but I just had to have it again. The textures were smoother and the frame rate was flawless. That is, until they came out with an update that for some reason lowered the frame rate. Only a few people had ever noticed this, but I discovered it right away. So I decided to play my N64 copy and discovered that it had a slightly slower frame rate in some areas and a little faster in others. So I guess they were really just trying to emulate the original feel, but they didn't do that part exactly right. The frame rate usually drops when there's too much on screen or when there's too many explosions going off, like many other games that have frame rate issues. So why did I never pay attention to that? Well, after playing the N64 version for a little bit and getting into my old groove of the game, I discovered that I used it to my advantage.
He's crazy.
The N64's frame rate was fast enough to charge up a shot and slow enough to fire it off before it locks onto anything, allowing me to gain extra points. If a charged shot took down a ship without directly hitting it, you would earn extra points. It was like bullet time before the Matrix even existed. So as you see, I used the biggest flaw in this game and turned it into my biggest advantage.
Your skills have improved, Fox.
Mine have, but yours haven't. In the Super Nintendo predecessor, your teammates were invincible to everything except getting shot in the back by enemies. In this one, everything hurts them, even your own laser fire. But at least they can recover their shields and they never truly die, so no big whoop. A lot of people say that them calling out for help all the time is just annoying. To me, that just tells me I know where to find more points at. Besides, it's not like one hit's gonna kill them anyway.
I've taken a few hits, but I'm okay.
Everybody's just taking that completely out of proportion. At least that's the way I see it. StarFox 64 may not have sold as well as its Super Nintendo predecessor, but it is without a doubt a much better game. Taking what works and adding new elements that enhance the gameplay as well as the franchise is always the best way to go. Plus, bundling it with new technology gives players an experience they'll never forget. I have no problems or issues with this game in any way, shape, or form. Well, it would have been nice to go to any planet I wanted to without playing through all the others, but that's not worth complaining about, more like a suggestion. Many players feel that the only thing wrong is constantly saving your teammates, but that just helped me feel like I'm the best pilot in the whole Lylat system.
He's too strong.
Just a little advice. If you have a choice between the N64 and the Virtual Console, I recommend the N64 version as the Virtual Console controls and aiming feel a little stiff compared to the controls on the N64. And there's no rumble support at all on the Virtual Console. There's not much else I can say about this game except that I love shooting large groups of bogeys, the levels have excellent designs, the controls are sublime, hearing the characters talk as well as actually feeling what's going on greatly brought me into the game, and all the improvements they made over the original.
Do a barrel roll.
Alright, Peppy, I've had enough.
Sorry, guys, I gotta sit this one out.
A 5 out of 5. It's a great game to add to your collection.
Let's have a little fun. We're gonna break through that fleet. The last line has been breached.
These guys are crazy.
I'm not crazy. He's crazy. Come on, little man. Shoot me. Okay, I'll shoot you down. It's quiet. Too quiet. Be careful, it might be a trap.
Don't worry. Slippy's here.
How swell.
Sheesh, Falco. You too.
You'll be seeing your dad soon, Fox. We'll just see about that, Star Wolf.
Never give up. Trust your instincts.
Father? No way! I don't believe it!